At some point in time, you just might be asked if you want hospice or palliative care services for your aging parent. And if you know me by now, you know that I want you to be totally prepared for any situation that might come up. So in this video, I'm going to discuss all of the ins and outs of both hospice and palliative care. So if the time comes, you'll know which, if either, are going to be the right way to go for your parent. Hi there, I'm Sofia. Welcome to another episode. I make weekly videos to help family caregivers navigate the resources, the options, and all the ups and downs that go along with aging parent care. I want the very best for both you and your parent, so go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. So I was researching for this video and getting ready, and I was thrown for a loop, and I had to just put it on hold for a little while for my own emotional well-being. My 94-year-old dad was recently signed up to hospice, or should I say he recently signed himself up for hospice, which just breaks my heart even a little bit more. He's doing okay for now, and I have to think that things happen for a reason, because while this video is on hold, I've been working with a patient and their family to help them decide between palliative and hospice care. And while I was working with them, I gleaned a little more information that I think is really going to be helpful for you. So coming up in this video, I'm going to talk about everything you need to know about palliative care and hospice, and I'm going to end with a warning that's really important, so watch all the way to the end. Let me start with what these two programs have in common. Both palliative care and hospice focus on the comfort of the patient. They provide compassionate care and they focus on reducing the stress for both the patient and for their family members. They both will address the spiritual and psychological aspects of patient care. They both provide support for the life of the patient while at the same time seeing death as a normal process. They both are going to use an interdisciplinary approach. I think one of the more confusing parts of differentiating palliative care and hospice is for people to understand what type of program they are. So let me try to clarify that for you. Palliative care is a type of care. It's an approach. It's a philosophy for giving compassionate care. It's not necessarily a program that you sign up for. On the other hand, hospice is an official program that you have to meet eligibility criteria for and sign up for. So every hospice program actually includes palliative care, but you don't have to be on a hospice program to receive palliative care. Does that make sense? So who are these services for? For hospice, the criteria is the more strict of the two. You must have been diagnosed with terminal illness by two doctors, usually your regular doctor or the hospital doctor, and the hospice doctor. You need to have a life expectancy of 6 months or less. But nobody has a crystal ball, and at the end of 6 months, this can be extended multiple times if needed. The patient, or you as the responsible party, has to have come to the conclusion that trying to find a cure is no longer benefiting them and is no longer reasonable. And they have to agree not to continue to seek a cure or treatment for the terminal illness. This usually means no more doctor's appointments, no more specialist office visits, no more admissions to the hospital, and a DNR code status. And while it's often okay to have a G-tube or even a trach placed while you're in hospice, you cannot be on a mechanical ventilator. The criteria for palliative care are much less strict. This program could be for people who have a terminal illness or not. You could be at any stage of a diagnosis, even in the very early stages of the course of a new terminal disease. This program can still benefit a patient and provide comfort and compassionate care while they're still looking for a cure and receiving various treatments for their diagnosis. Therefore, you don't have to have a life expectancy of 6 months. And you can even still be on a mechanical ventilator and still receive palliative care services. Who pays for hospice and palliative care? Medicare Part A and in most states, Medicaid will pay 100% of hospice care services. If you have medical coverage through the VA or a senior HMO, these are also going to pay for hospice 100%. But if you have a regular HMO or other private insurance, the coverage is going to vary. So you're going to need to check with them and ask about what is covered and if there are any co-payments involved. For palliative care, because it is a plan of care and not necessarily a program, each individual item is billed out separately. So you're going to need to check with your insurance to see which pieces of that plan might be covered, usually out of Medicare Part B. And you still might have to pay co-payments for some of these services. So what is covered? Under hospice, they pretty much take over everything 100%. They're going to take over payments for all the medications, incontinence supplies, DME equipment that your parent might need, oxygen, probably nursing twice a week or so, an attendant to come in once or twice a week to do bathing, but they're not going to stay, so be aware of that. They will also provide grief and spiritual support. Like I said, they're not going to cover ongoing caregiver services. It is going to be the expectation that a family covers the bulk of the care themselves or hire a private caregiver. Hospice will also cover a short-term respite for the family if they need a break. With palliative care, again, because it's a plan of care, not a program, coverage is going to depend on what the doctor orders and what insurance your parent has. They probably are not going to cover all the supplies and the medications and equipment like they did on hospice. So it's really going to be important that you know ahead of time, ask them what is going to be covered and if there are any co-payments. So where can you receive these services? Hospice can be administered anywhere that the patient considers home. This can mean their own private home environment or in a nursing home, in an assisted living, or even in a residential care facility. Sometimes even at a hospital if they sign up for hospice right at the very end of their life. Keep in mind that hospice services in a nursing home are only going to cover the services and not the room and board. So you're going to either have to pay privately for the daily rate. The exception to this would be if your parent has Medicaid, then Medicaid will cover that daily rate. Palliative care is usually provided in a hospital, but it can also be provided at home through a home health care agency. And now for the warning I was telling you about, for those seniors, for your parents who may have a senior HMO or a managed care health plan. Now, someone out there is going to chop my head off for saying this, but this has been my experience, so I have to share it. When it comes to hospice, some, not all, some managed care plans are going to tell you that they're going to want your parent to stop medications right away, to stop feeding right away, and to start taking morphine right away. Even if your parent is alert and oriented and not even close to death, without even giving them a choice. This really infuriates me, and in my opinion, it is not the way hospice should be. Yes, there is a time and a place for these things, maybe, but it's an individual choice, and you have to be given an option. Again, this is completely my opinion, but they are just trying to save money. And I hate that. They shouldn't do it at the expense of your parent. So consider yourself warned. But if you come across this, know that you do have a choice to get your parent off that managed care program and go back to straight Medicare. Then you can go to any hospice and receive all the options for compassionate care that they deserve. However, this is going to take time and will be a process. I hope this information was valuable and that it's going to help you help your parent. If so, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and leave me a comment if you'd like to add other information about hospice or palliative care that you've experienced that will be helpful to my other viewers. Thanks so much for watching today. I'll see you next time.